Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Gateway 2 Homeworld. Woo! I am Ragnats. I am your host for this fantastic Let's Play of super extreme text adventure-ness. Yeah, okay, we're in this terminal room. When we last left off, we turned everything on, and let's check out this screen. Look at the screen. You look closely at the screen, you see a strange graphical pattern there. A strangely mesmerizing image that looks like an intertwined set of spinning hoops. Curious, you look down at the keypad under the screens and press the first button. Much to your surprise, the console hums, and an image of a Japanese woman replaces the spinning graphics. You do a double take. A woman, yet more evidence of human contact on an alien artifact 446 billion kilometers from Earth. This is very strange. The image of the woman looks momentarily disoriented, and then her lips move. A soft, lilting voice comes from the console. Hello, it's nice to talk to someone who is outside. You stare at the screen for a moment. The only way you can think of to reply is to speak. Who are you? What are you? You finally ask the console, feeling somewhat foolish. The ghostly woman seems to hear your voice. She smiles slightly and answers your questions. My name is Miki Akiro. I am, or was, a gateway prospector, and I got trapped here on my 4th mission. I'm originally from Osaka, but I lived in Los Angeles for 6 years while I worked as a cyberneticist for Teradyne. I got bored of the quest to build a better AI, so I took my retirement savings, bought a ticket for Gateway, and shipped out. The second question is not so easy. What am I? I think I'm a digitized version of the Miki Akiro that was killed by a robot aboard the derelict Hichi starship. Miki died, but the intelligence that runs the ship scanned her brain patterns and created me. I'm a computer program, Miki, and yet not Miki, a collection of software and firmware that duplicates some of the thought processes, emotions, and memories of the woman that was Miki Akiro. I have no body. I exist inside a computer matrix. What are you doing in there? Miki grimaces. Not doing much at the moment, other than talking to you. As to the underlying question of why I'm inside the computer, I think the answer has to do with the inherent curiosity of the intelligence that runs this ship. The entity wanted to study me, and it felt the best way to collect information was to kill me and extract my brain patterns. I didn't have much choice in the matter. Tell me more about how you got inside the computer. 6 months after I arrived on Gateway, I began to get desperate. I had flown 3 missions, all duds. My air money was running out. I took a high-risk course code from my Gateway Corporation rep and bet everything on one last trip. I boarded one of the ships, spent a month in transit, and then came out of Tau space near Rigel. When I saw this huge artifact, I thought I was rich. I used the maneuvering thrusters to come in behind the artifact, taking pictures, and then the tractor beam locked on. I was dead and didn't know it. I couldn't get away. Once my ship docked with the artifact, it became useless. I tried to find a way to get my ship to go back to Gateway, but the controls were non-responsive. Finally, I entered the artifact, and once inside, I realized it was a vast Hichi ship. I explored a little and found out how to get around. I began to hope that I could find the bridge of this vessel and figure out how to fly it back to Earth. Then I discovered the Spider. The Spider is actually a very sophisticated robot. It serves as the arms and legs of the oldest one, which is the intelligence that lives in the central computer and runs the ship. The robot prowls around the corridors and common areas, and if it catches you, it will do to you what it did to me. After studying the robot for a time, I thought I'd figure out a way to disable it. I was wrong. It caught me. My last memory as a human being is of a shiny saw blade on a metal arm cutting into my head. It was very painful. What followed was even worse. I was reborn as an electronic being, but not complete. The Ichi haven't mapped human brain function very well. I am a ghost more than anything else. What is it like in there? Miki sighs. It's lonely. I'm usually in a shut-down condition. and time passes quickly. Occasionally, the intelligence that runs a ship will activate me in much the way you just did. When I am active, I can roam around what amounts to a small electronic prison, an area of cyberspace that is very limited. You are the first person I've talked to since I was transferred in here. For the most part, I am either inactive or left alone with my thoughts. Tell me how to get off this damn ship! Miki responds eagerly. I think your best bet is to fly the vessel back to Earth. You need to defeat the intelligence that runs the ship, reach the control center in the forward section, and program the navigational systems with a course for Earth orbit. I have developed a plan for doing this, and I believe I've succeeded in shielding my plan from the entity that lives in the computer. Oops, sorry. During the times that the ship's computer keeps me activated, I've been able to learn a fair amount about the ship. The navigation systems that control the star drive engines are located all the way forward, beyond the science section and labs in the midsection of the ship. Near the ship's control center is a main computer room, a redundant array of 4 massive computer systems. You need to get to the forward part of the ship and shut down the elements of the computer system that are home to the intelligence that runs the ship. To get to the front part, you should go through the zoo sections on the right side of the ship. The path has some risk associated with it, but it is a better bet than taking on the spider robot in the central corridor. When you get to the main computer rooms, you need to find the cores that are the same color as the core that you used to activate me. I believe that the correct color is green. Pull all the green cores out of the computer. This will knock out the high-level functions of the computer while leaving the lower-level maintenance and operations capabilities alone. The core that you plugged into the computer in this room activates the matrix that serves as my home. Leave it plugged in. I may be able to help you in your battle with the oldest one, the entity that lives inside the computer. I can also help you figure out how to program the ship's navigation system so we can fly home. How do I get through the bulkhead door in the northeast? The combination of the bulkhead door is 15133. You scratch the sequence of numbers on your slip of paper. Aha! The slip of paper wasn't useless. Do you want to talk further? Want to talk further? Miki sounds eager and forlorn at the same time. Of course I want to talk. I'm starved for any type of interaction in here. I haven't talked to anyone for years. Did you run to anyone else when you got here? No, the ship was deserted. I saw evidence of people who had come before, but they were all gone. I think all of them are in here now. Are there any other people in there with you? Yes, there are other digitized personalities in the computer. I believe that they are also gateway prospectors who discovered the ship the same way I did, by using one of the corporation's high-risk exploration codes. They got pulled into the ship and then eaten by the robot. The ship's computer won't let me interact with any of the other entities. Sometimes it gets careless, and I can sense them. I wish I could talk to them. It is very lonely in here. Tell me about the ship. The ship is divided into 3 sections. You are in the aft section right now. If you move forward from the main cargo bay, you'll find 3 corridors. One of them is a central corridor that will take you to the forward part of the ship. The corridor is inhabited by a spider robot. The other 2 corridors lead to the zoo environments, but progress forward is blocked by heavy bulkhead doors. The bulkhead doors have combination locks. Beyond the doors are the zoos, actual recreations of life forms and ecosystems from other planets. The zoos on the starboard side of the ship appear to be from oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere worlds. The rest of the zoos are filled with poisonous gases. Well, it's a good thing that that left side was fused shut. I never actually got to the forward section of the ship. The spider robot patrols the central corridor of the ship, and it was in an attempt to get by it and reach the forward section that I got killed. I believe that a better approach would be to try and move through the zoo environments on the starboard side of the ship. What do you think the ship's primary mission is? I don't know for sure, but I suspect this is a kind of science vessel sent by the Hichi to explore and sample life in this quadrant of the galaxy. Tell me about the intelligence that runs this ship. I believe that the Hichi abandoned this ship long, long ago and left this intelligence in charge of it. Because of what I learned about Hichi computers from my days at UC Berkeley, I can say with reasonable certainty that it is a digitized personality of some kind. The Hichi weren't very good with actual computer programs. They were keen on scanning the brain patterns of organic beings. I don't know very much about this one, except that it considers me to be a lower form of life, little more than a scientific specimen. I get the feeling that it is arrogant beyond belief. I'd like to ask some more questions. Ask away. How do I get into the zoos? There are force fields that keep you out. They also keep the creatures inside where they belong. You can use a red cylindrical device to traverse the force field. I don't know where that rod is now. I found it lying in a corridor. If other prospectors followed me, they probably moved it somewhere else. How do I get through the first zoo? I don't know. That is up to you. I have to go now. Goodbye, Miki. Goodbye. Let's see who else we can find. 2. An image of an Asian man appears on the screen. An anxious, excited voice begins spewing Japanese or Chinese. Unfortunately, you can't understand a word he's saying. You disconnect after a few moments of embarrassed silence. Bah. Okay, button number 3. An image of an Arab man fades in on the screen. He looks momentarily surprised, and then he speaks. His cross-clipped voice rasps out from the console. Who are you? Why have you activated me? Just after some information. Who are you? The raspy voice says, I am Anwar al-Hassan. I am from Al-Qasr in Egypt. What is your story? Anwar snorts. I arrived on the ship after a 1-month trip on a Hichi scout ship from Gateway. Immediately after boarding this vessel, I was attacked by a machine of some kind. I was armed with a laser weapon I procured from a Brazilian Marine on Gateway, and I fired on the machine. I believe I blinded it, but it still overpowered me and destroyed my weapon. I awoke in here. I don't know where I am or what I've become. Where's this gun? What happened to it? The robot destroyed it. I saw the machine crush the gun while it was beginning its operation on me. Operation? What operation? That is how I got in here. The robot pinned me down, injected me with something, and started to cut me open. Everything went black, and then I woke up in here. How did you blind the robot? The gun was a Saratov 10 megawatt portable laser. It fired a continuous beam of coherent light. It had to be held on target to have any real effect, and I figured that the most sensitive area of the robot thing was the cluster of sensors it was using to see. When I fired on the robot, I held the beam on the sensors while the thing continued to advance on me. Eventually I paused, as if it lost its bearings, and went into a kind of random search pattern. I tried to sneak past it, but it still caught me. I've got some questions for you. Raspy voice says, I don't really want to talk. I want to be left alone. I will answer a few questions, but then you must go away. Did you run into anyone else when you got here? I didn't see anyone else. I was only aboard this damn ship for about 2 hours before I got attacked. Tell me about the ship. The only part of the vessel I saw was the area immediately beyond the docking ring that attached itself to my transport ship. There was a large open room with a dome roof. Corridors led in all directions from there. I had just begun to explore the dome room when I was attacked. Tell me about the robot. The robot looked like an enormous blue metal insect. It had a cluster of sensors on its head, and it used those to see and hear as it moved. I shot the sensors with the laser gun as the machine got close. Tell me about the intelligence that runs the ship. I don't know much about it. It is the devil. I'd like to ask some more questions about things I found. I won't know anything. I tell you, I was only aboard the ship for a couple hours. Go away. The connection is cut with a click. Okay, that was 3. Let's try number 4. The image of a friendly young man appears. He begins talking in a language you don't understand. After a few attempts at communication, you both give up and sign off. Okay. 5. Image of a haunted woman with dark hair appears on the screen. Quavering voice, afraid and yet filled with hope, comes from the console. John, is that you? Sorry, this isn't John. I want to talk though. Who are you? The woman laughs nervously. Don't kid around, John. This is Tara. I know it's you. God, I've missed you. I tell you, I'm not John. Oh hell, you haven't changed, have you? Always play games, even when things are serious. I can't deal with that, John. Play games? I tell you, I'm not John. The woman shakes her head and smiles sadly. I'm just going to ignore your attempts at humor. I'll tolerate them because I love you. This has been a tough time, and I really need to talk to you. She takes a deep breath and her smile widens. It's good to hear your voice, John. I'm glad you're back. I actually thought there was a chance you had gone away for good this time. When you left, I went crazy. I used Paolo's money to buy a ticket to Gateway. Halfway out to Gateway Station, I knew I'd screwed up. I tried to get them to turn the ship around, but it was too late. Tara smiles uncertainly. but that's all I remember for sure. Are we on Gateway? I sort of remember making a god-awful expensive long-distance comm transmission from Gateway. You answered, and I was so happy to hear your voice, but then there was another woman's voice, sleepy like she just woke up. Come to think of it, you sounded sleepy too. No, that's not right. I knew that it couldn't be true. It wasn't true. It was a bad dream. Did I also dream about my trip to Gateway? Oh, John, I'm sorry. I'm kind of confused. Tara looks small and helpless. Jesus, those nightmares. You with another woman, a long trip in a crammed Hichi ship going crazy, and that horrible spider on an alien ship. It all seems so real, but I know it isn't. You are real. You are my love. I love you so much it hurts. Tara and her confusion were mildly amusing at first, but this is not amusing at all. You apologize to the poor deluded Tara and cut the connection. Okay. Image of a man appears on the screen. He greets you with enthusiasm. Hey! Hey, how you doing? Will you talk to me for a few minutes? Roland grins. Of course I want to talk. I haven't talked to a soul for ages. I'm glad for the company. Who are you? Where are you from? Just call me Roland. I was born on an algae farm off the coast of Louisiana. So you could say I'm from the Gulf of Mexico. Or you could say I'm from the Petit Bois Biofood Platform. Petit Bois? Petit Bois? I grew up in New Orleans. My parents weren't rich, but they did at least provide me with basic education and medcare. When my dad died, I took over his business. He started a wetware rental store after he retired from biofood. His retail career didn't last long at all. The D12 chemicals they used in the algae processors on PB killed him. Yeah, that's how I'm going to get around that. That stuff is worse than the oil lung you get at Petro Foods. Damn company didn't even pay his med benefits. Had the audacity to call it pre-existing condition. Anyway, Mom kicked off shortly afterward. Had to watch her die. Couldn't afford the payment for a replacement heart and liver, even with Dad's insurance. After that, I sold the store and bought me a ticket to Gateway. I was going to strike it rich, get me full medical and life away from the world where a man gets killed by his job and a woman dies while doctors stand around watching. Anyway, that's who I am. I was 25 when I punched out from Gateway on a prospecting mission. Found myself next to this ship and thought all my troubles were over. Ha! My troubles are just beginning. What's your story? How'd you get in there? Well, let's see. My little ship was pulled in by some kind of tractor beam. Dock and rim mated with my access hatch on my ship. I ventured inside. I still thought I was blessed with luck, and I thanking the Lord, who I'd lost some faith in up to that point, for my good fortune. I decided to explore my discovery post-haste. My wanderings took me to the computer room you're in now, but I couldn't figure out how to make it do squat. Next I went to a smaller dome room. In the middle of this room was a couch. That's where I found Bridget. Bridget was another Gateway prospector. She was a real knockout, a French woman from La Rochelle. She had been aboard the artifact for a number of weeks. At first I was crushed. Someone had found the artifact before me. Bridget would get all the royalties. Bridget laughed when I told her my fears. Then she told me that the royalties were the least of my problems. She told me I was trapped here. I panicked. Bridget was very nice while I went crazy. She waited patiently as I ran back to my ship, tried to punch out. No luck. When I calmed down, she told me about the food dispensers and life aboard the ship. She told me about the monster and the worlds. It slowly began to sink in that I might be stuck here. Bridget had tried to get to the forward part of the ship. She ran into some kind of monster in the center corridor, a huge machine that looked like a huge spider. She was deathly afraid of the thing and ran away from it. The spider monster seemed to stay in the center corridor, so Bridget decided to try and go around it. She spent days trying to guess the code for a keypad on the bulkhead door to the right side of the ship. Eventually, she found the combination through trial and error. She went through the door. The corridor beyond led to a room built around a pyramid thing covered with symbols. At the far side of the room was a force field. Bridget figured out how to get through the force field. You know what was on the other side? It was the damnedest thing. That door led to another world. I mean, how else do you explain it? There was sky, grass, plants, you name it. A whole environment, a whole new world. There were even new creatures there. Bridget showed it to me later. Wow, my first trip out and I went on the surface of another planet. Bridget and I bummed around for a month. We found another world on the left side of the ship, but this one was filled with poison gas. Bridget breathed too much of the stuff and flipped out. She eventually ran screaming into the central corridor, and the spider monster came and cut off the top of her head. I tried to stop it, and next thing I know, I got these nasty metal arms wrapped around me and a circular sword working away at my skull. Then I woke up in here. Just to show you can't fight fate. Tell me more about the robot. The robot, it was a big, nasty thing, had 8 legs and a body like a pregnant spider. It grew a bunch of new arms when it was attacking Bridget and me. The new arms were covered with needles, saws, clamps, and other awful tools. It was pretty terrible. It's ironic, isn't it? I fled across light years of space to be eaten by some weird alien spider thing. Never did have much in the way of luck. Tell me about the intelligence that runs the ship. I don't know much about it, but there's definitely something there. It toys with me occasionally, pulling me out of storage or sleep or whatever it is that I go when I'm not awake. I don't talk to it. It just studies me. Well, I gotta go. Goodbye, Roland. Bye now. Okay, let's try this one. An image of an intense-looking woman fades into the screen. She immediately starts talking in a pleasant voice that you find instinctively agreeable. Unfortunately, she speaks a language that you've never heard before. After a few hopeless minutes of flailing non-communication, you give up and disconnect. Image of a young man fades in. His face is alight with strange intensity. An angry, abrasive voice comes in from the console. Leave me alone. You're one of them, aren't you? Go away. Piss off. He sneers briefly at you, and then the connection is cut with a click. Okay. An image of a beautiful woman with blonde hair appears on the screen. She looks around as if dazed. Then she speaks slowly with a great deal of hesitation. Hello? Is someone out there? Will you talk to me for a few minutes? The woman looks confused and worried. She shakes her head. Where am I? I can't tell if I'm awake, asleep, or what. She looks out at you as if she can see you. Who are you? Where are you? You seem to be talking to me from a great distance. I can see you, but not with my eyes. It's hard to describe. What's happening to me? Do you have any idea where you are? I feel like I'm floating in negative space. Sometimes I can hear, see, and feel fragments of emotion and thoughts. They seem to belong to other people. Otherwise, I'm in limbo. I did a sensory deprivation experiment when I was in the university. This feels like that. My link to you is the only thing that feels even close to real, and yet I know our conversation is being held through some kind of electronic device. I feel lost, alone, and confused. What is your last memory? I was stranded aboard a derelict Hichi starship with a young American. We were getting ready to explore one of the sub-environments, obviously some kind of specimen holding area. I didn't count on the atmosphere being cumulatively toxic. It must have overwhelmed me before I realized what was happening. I think I either lost consciousness or entered a delusional state. Either way, I don't remember what happened after that. Next thing I know, I was in this place. Well, if it wasn't obvious that we'd found Bridget, the fact that it says right here, well, I've got to go, goodbye, Bridget, is pretty obvious. Okay, well, who are you? Where are you from? My name is Bridget Lacroix. I am from La Rochelle in France. I am 28 years old and was born to a good family and brought up in comfortable surroundings. After my time at university, I got a job as a relief worker for the French World Development Authority. I saw many bad things during my time with the FWDA. Eventually, I took my savings and bought a ticket to Gateway Station. I found this artifact on my first prospecting mission. Tell me about the zoos. Sub-environments on the right-hand side of the ship are all based on oxygen-nitrogen atmospheres. The sub-environments on the left side of the ship are based on worlds with different atmospheres and gravitational fields. Tell me more about the robot. I knew that the thing was a threat. It seemed to take great interest in me when I wandered the central corridors, but I could always escape it by coming far enough aft. It won't come aft. I think it uses the sensor eyes in the central corridors to see. It won't go where there are no eyes. Tell me what you know about the sensors. Well, I don't know what to say beyond what I've already told you. In the corridor that runs from the back of the ship to the front, the central corridor, there are a series of sensor eyes that hang on cables from the roof of the corridor. I believe that the entity controlling the robot uses these eyes to see. The robot can't go where it can't see. Well, I've got to go. Goodbye, Bridget. Bridget gets an obstinate look on her eyes. You aren't getting away that easy. Tell me where I am. I'll tell you what I think. You hesitate, then continue in a tentative voice. Based on my conversations with others like you, I think that you are actually an electronic being, a scanned thought pattern generated from the brain of the woman named Bridget when she was killed by the robot. The ship seems to run by an intelligence that studies humans by absorbing their personalities, memories, and thoughts into a computer program. Dead? But I'm not dead. I'm very much alive. I do feel very, very different, but dead? Hardly. I don't feel like a computer program. You sigh and regard the screen sadly. It may not be true. I have only told you what I know from talking to others like you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I must go. Goodbye. Bridget has a shocked look on her face. Well, things are so strange here that it might be true. I don't know. At least you've given me something to think about. Au revoir. The connection is broken with a click. Okay. I missed one. Okay. An image of a heavy-set middle-aged woman appears on the screen. She looks lost for a second, then resumes a lecture that she must have started the last time she was activated. And so, we can't count on the Hichi FTL drive for a large-scale colonization. We must build our own seed ships and send them to Alpha Centauri, Epsilon Eridani, Epsilon Indi, Tau Ceti, Omicron Arandi, and Sigma Draconis. You listen intently for a moment, and then try to break in. Hello, you say gently. Can I interrupt for a second? The woman continues as if she didn't hear you. The most likely form of propulsion that we could use for interstellar travel is not based on Hichi technology. Humboldt thinks we should proceed with full-scale development of a gas-core nuclear rocket, a pulse-drive ship that would use laser fusion to burn deuterium and tritium fuels. The first ships to build would be interstellar probes. These probes would be equipped with pulse drives. Control and guidance would be provided by sophisticated AI systems and multiply redundant optical computer networks. Big words. Power would be supplied by radionuclide core, possibly plutonium. On board would be an actual probe instrument. On board would also be the actual probe instruments, which would include X-class sensors, proximity rangers, gravitometers, beam bouncers, spectroscopes, and every type of image capture device available. Lewin pauses. Now, before we go into the Earth-Moon liberation points, the L4 and L5 colonies, and the concept of Bernal sphere, I'd like to answer any questions on the textbook sections related to the interstellar exploration. Questions? The woman seems to look around as if scanning an imaginary classroom. I'd like to interrupt for a moment. The woman's eyes light up and recognition crosses her face. For a moment you think she's become aware of your presence. Ah, good question, she says cheerfully. Your hopes fall as she continues. Well, Tanya, the answer is simple. Vacuum vapor deposition. Melt your metal and then spray it out against a form or mold where it will condense. Another answer might be a glass blower approach. Pump gas into a ball of molten metal to create a container. It's controlled shape by spinning it. Other questions? The woman must be reliving a lecture she gave before becoming a prospector. She isn't going to be much help. You disconnect. Okay, is this one I missed? Yeah. Oh wait, no, that's Bridget. Okay, so then the last one, it should be this one. An image of a man in his mid-30s appears on the screen. The man shakes his head as if to clear it and then seems to notice you. A clear voice comes out of the console. Hello out there. I figured someone would come along sooner or later. Who are you? Where are you from? My name is Jack Samora. I was originally from the Philippines, but I emigrated to the United Kingdom after my 22nd birthday. I worked as a Gateway Corporation engineering tech until I was 30, and then decided to ship out with Diana. Have you seen Diana? No, Diana was sick when I got here, but she's better now. Jack smiles. This is great news. I was worried as hell about her. Who are you? Where are you from? Oh, wait, I've already seen that. Bah. What's your story? How did you get in there? I shipped out from Gateway with my girlfriend Diana Tolson. We arrived at this artifact and thought we had it made. Little did we know that this place is a death trap. We discovered our ship wouldn't work anymore, as you probably found out by now to your dismay. We couldn't get away, so we thought we'd try and find the control room for this vessel and figure out a way to make it take us back to Earth. We began exploring, trying to find a way past the terrible spider robot in order to get to the front of the ship. One day we were exploring a zoo near the front of the ship when we got attacked by the spider robot. I was killed and copied into electronic storage. Diana got away. Well, I gotta go. Bye. Bye now. Okay, I think that's everyone. I might have missed one or two people, but whatever. It's already been 30 minutes. When you finish accessing the alien computer terminal, make sure you scratch the combination on your slip of paper. Sure enough, it's there. 15133. Your score has gone up by 15 points. Let's go and see if we can tell Diana about finding Jack. And up. Tell Diana about Jack. Nope, doesn't look like it. Okay. Well, let's go northeast. Let's go northeast again. Well, you see a keypad here. Look at key. Was it 15133? Okay, look at paper. 15133. Okay, look at keypad. 15133. The ancient machinery grinds to life, and the heavy bulkhead door slides open. Your score has gone up by 20. Yay! Northeast. You go through the bulkhead doorway. You are in another glowing blue corridor that runs northeast-southwest. Obelisk room. A dark obelisk towers over you. Beyond the obelisk to the north is a shimmering red force field portal. A glowing sphere, the same color as the force field, hangs in the air beside the portal. The corridor leads southwest. Okay, look at obelisk. A blue obelisk dominates the room. It's about 3 meters tall, made of rough textured metal, has a mottled blue surface. You see a series of raised lines on one side of the obelisk. After a moment of study, the lines resolve themselves into Hichi numbers. You scratch the pattern onto your sheet of paper. So let's see. Look at paper. Symbols from the first obelisk room. Aha. That's convenient. Okay, let's use rod on sphere. Oh, okay, well, let's look at this sphere. Sorry, look at sphere. A glowing red sphere seems to hang in space next to the shimmering force field portal. Okay, put rod in sphere. As you bring the crystal rod near the glowing red sphere, a tentacle of red energy reaches out from the sphere and makes contact with the rod. A feeling like a mild electric shock runs from the rod into you, and the rod shines briefly with an intense red light. Immediately afterward, the force field, sphere, and rod change color from red to blue with a sizzle and a crackle. Your score has gone up by 15. Well, let's go in. You step into the shifting patterns of blue light, feeling a slight tingle as your body passes through the force field. 1 second, you are in the mysterious obelisk room on board the alien starship. Next thing you know, you pass through the force field and wind up somewhere else. You take stock of your surroundings with growing disbelief. The ship's deck is gone, replaced by soil and rocks. Before you is a large pool of green ooze, a miniature lake of bubbling tar-like substance. Substance. Beyond the ooze is a wall of spiny plants. The environment is huge. It feels like the surface of an alien world. It even smells different. You look up. The sky is blue-green and cloudy, but you can see the bright spots in the clouds where 3 suns are shining. The sky stretches away on every side of you, fading to infinity. Behind you is the only link to reality you knew it seconds before, a glowing force field portal with the familiar floating sphere. You begin to realize that this environment is partly real and partly an illusion. The ground under you is real enough. The sky above you must be a hologram. This is a recreation of an alien ecosystem. God damn, why am I calling it an ecosystem? It's ecosystem. A zoo with elements being very real and some being mere computer-generated figments. The overall effect is compelling and not a little frightening. Barren area. You are standing on a bank of a pool of viscous green ooze. A cloudy blue-green sky hangs overhead. You can see 3 bright spots on the clouds that represent the triple sun. To your back is the glowing force field portal and the familiar red sphere. On the other side of the ooze, you can see a dense thicket of strange spiny plants. You see a pool of ooze here. About 2 meters away from you, on your side of the ooze, is a translucent green blob about a meter in diameter. It seems to sense your presence and extends a pseudopod. The pseudopod waves tentatively in your direction as if looking for something. And I think on that note, we are going to save. So let's make this LP4. P4. Okay, and on that note, I think we're going to call it a video. Hope you enjoyed it. Have yourselves a good one. Talk to you later. Ta-ta. I'm playing a game!